So, good morning. Well, at least for me, it's early morning. I am now in my summer house on an island on the Swedish west coast, and I'm trying to do this little recording before the family wakes up. But I wanted to elaborate a little bit more on our Q2, apart from what is now published in the Q2 report. And as I'm sure everybody who follows SeaTwirl can understand, it has been something of a quarter for us. It is really a historic quarter. We have been selected to come into the grant preparation process for Horizon Europe, which is the final stage where the formalities are basically negotiated, agreed upon, and eventually signed. We are right in the middle of that process. We are very confident it's going to go well. It is all going according to plan, and we look forward to communicate when we have basically concluded the process. So that is obviously the biggest and most important event in the history of SeaTwirl, I would say. We have already started the process of recruiting new talent, new employees. We need to build our team quite significantly in order to deliver on this project. It is such a big undertaking that it will basically require all hands on deck from the whole company. We need to put all the resources we have onto this project, but at the same time, we also need to stay focused on what comes after, and also to make sure that we don't lose any of the work and the good investments we have made into all the other opportunities that we are working upon. So, of course, we need to continue working on all those opportunities we have developed from before. But now we can be a little bit more selective. We can be a little bit more picky on where we want to put our resources on business development, basically. So I'm just going to mention 3 important markets for us. All of them have been very well discussed before. It's Japan, the UK, and Norway. And now, of course, we also have a new MOU signed with Canada, which I'm coming back to in a minute. Japan is progressing very well. Sumitomo and we are developing that opportunity together. And I would basically say that the news that we were awarded Horizon Europe, or that we have been invited into Horizon Europe, has also accelerated that process a bit. The UK is still, I would say, one of the most important markets in the world. It's also fairly close to us, and we have been investing in UK for a long time. We've had people on the ground in Aberdeen for quite a long while, and that is also moving forward now. We see that the UK is also developing in the southwest, outside of Cornwall and Wales. So clearly that is now becoming a very interesting market as well. We will be very visible in the UK this fall. We have plans to be on the big conferences there. And that's also something I'm coming back to in a minute. And finally, Norway. Norway is now moving into an election. Floating offshore wind is a major part of the Norwegian election campaign. There is a great deal of debate whether Norway should be investing all this money into floating wind or not. So for anyone who's interested in that market, just follow that election campaign, and you will hear a lot about floating wind. The main point there is the big project called Utsira Nord. Utsira Nord is basically going to be 500 megawatts, and the government have set aside 35 billion Norwegian crowns. So if we would assume that the turbines would be roughly 20 megawatt turbines, that is 35 billion Norwegian crowns to build 25 turbines. That is a huge amount of subsidies, and it's also something to be aware of, that the industry is still in a stage where significant subsidies are needed most of the time. Despite all of that, most of the companies and consortiums that have been planning to bid for Utsira Nord have actually pulled out. So today there is only a few left, maybe a handful of consortium left to bid, and only a few years ago there were between 15 and 20. So despite all of that investments and subsidies, it's still so much risk that many of the consortium are pulling out of it. So it's a double-edged sword for us, because obviously we need the industry to be there. We need the investment, the willingness to invest into that industry. But at the same time, the cost with the current technologies is actually making companies pull out of the industry. So we really need to be working in that industry and develop that industry as well, to make sure that the investment, the willingness to invest, is still there. And for Canada, we recently signed this MOU, but that has been taking a long time to prepare. I have been in dialogue with the people we have signed with in Canada for more than 6 months, and I must say it's an amazing opportunity for SeaTwirl. The market is really developing in an explosive rate. It's crazy to see how the new government in Canada is pushing renewables really, really hard. They really see the potential for offshore wind, and given the fact that they have such deep water, floating wind is going to be an obvious opportunity there, and probably also very much needed in some parts of Canada. They're a bit different from the North Sea. For instance, they have sea ice, they have icebergs. There is very much Arctic conditions in many parts of Canada. But the place where we begin our journey in Canada is in British Columbia, which is a fantastic place because there is no sea ice, there is no icebergs, there is deep water, there is good wind, and British Columbia is an amazing state to build in, and there is plenty of really good suppliers there. So we focus on British Columbia, and it looks really promising. So that is something we definitely will focus on and continue investing into. And I look forward to share more information once we get a little bit further on that collaboration. But I also wanted to elaborate a little bit more on the strategy going forward. What it means for us, the fact that we have been coming this far into Horizon Europe, is that we can really consolidate our strategy. Before, we had a strategy that had to be fairly wide and based on many different scenarios. Now we can be quite hopeful that the most promising scenario will actually materialize. And that scenario is obviously that we are going all the way with Horizon Europe, building and installing the turbine, proving it, certifying it, and so forth. And therefore we can now really focus that strategy in a completely different way than we could before. So a big part of our work this fall is going to be to really develop the business plan and the strategy from here on. So that is a major change for us, basically, that we can now really have a sharp route or road ahead of us. We can really see that much clearer now. So as I mentioned, the business model will be developed as well, and we have a plan or a vision, you can say, to become a supplier of wind turbines. But when you consider that the turbines cost much more than what our entire company is valued at today, we are not qualified as a supplier in the current market for the big turbines anyway. So we will develop our business model around licensing and other types of revenue, than to actually sell turbines directly to customers. But that is clearly something we will be also sharing more about later as we develop that. We have been quite visible in Q2, parts of it because we've had a plan to be more visible. We have invested into visibility in conferences and attendance at conferences and so forth. But most of all, because we have been invited. We've been invited to present at conferences and seminars and different type of events, which is now really promising as well. And much of that happened even before we were awarded Horizon Europe. So that is really starting to roll, you can say, and I'm really happy to to see that the conferences that we would really like to be visible at, we are invited to. So for instance, when we talk about risk and insurance and cost of capital, those type of conferences we are now invited into. And that is a really good sign. So really happy with that. We sponsored Floating Wind Days in Norway, and we launched our two-bladed turbine there. Very, very successful, great interest. Timing was perfect because they had just announced the Utsira Nord project that was going to be awarded. And then we also got a spot on the presentation slot about AI. I was really happy about that because AI is something that we have now worked for a while to integrate into our core business. We want to be more than just a disruptive type of wind turbine technology. We want to have AI integrated into everything we do right from the beginning. It's not just a different type of turbine, it's a different type of business model. AI is a part of it. We want to be at the forefront of this and at the forefront of innovation here. So that is something I've worked quite a bit with lately. So I would basically just conclude with saying that the main thing I take with me from Q2 is that it has given us confidence. It has really given us confidence to believe in our own idea, in our own technology. And that's what we really do now. And me and the team, we're just so excited about this, so excited about the rest of the year and the future ahead. So I look forward to present new results for you later. So with that, I wish you all a nice summer, and I'll see you later. Thank you.